BTC has a scaling problem. With 1 megabyte blocks, it will take 31 years for half the world to make a single Bitcoin transaction at very high cost. Can this problem be solved? Stick around and we'll unpack this and see if there's a solution. Hello everybody, welcome to the Centbee Show. I'm your host, Lorien and Gamaroff, and my co-host is the Kage and Ntshingila. Kage, welcome to the show.
So much.
How are you this autumn day?
I'm fresh, eh?
Yeah?
Feeling good.
Feeling good?
You know, we're still in our favorite part of the week, so
yeah.
As long as we're doing what we do best and we enjoy, I'm happy, man.
Yeah, and we're pretty excited because next week I'm going to be in London, and hopefully you too.
Oh yeah.
The big London blockchain conference, where we are going to be focused specifically on BSV blockchain, which is the only regulatory compliant, scalable, stable and low cost blockchain. This is the premier event in the world where people from government, from enterprises and corporations are going to be coming to see how scalable blockchain can benefit them in their businesses. There's going to be stacks of entrepreneurs there. One thing you're going to notice if you come to this conference, that nobody's talking about price. There's no shilling of cryptos. This is really the conference that just talks about utility and what Satoshi's vision was for Bitcoin. And it's a really fun conference to be at.
It is.
There's a lot of cool people that attend.
I mean, yeah, also there's footage on YouTube just to check out the previous events. You can tell, like, it's a pretty cool event to attend. I mean, like you're saying, you have prominent people meeting there, you know, discussing the future of BSV blockchain. So it's like one of those events you shouldn't miss.
Definitely. I mean, there's going to be speakers from all sorts of sectors, government sectors and corporate sectors, and they're going to be discussing what it can do, what can blockchain do in terms of their businesses, how can it enable new business models, how can it streamline things. And so if you're an entrepreneur and you want to really get to understand what it is that Satoshi's blockchain can do for you, this is definitely the best event in the world. Centbee's been there every single year, every year since this conference has been going on.
Representing you.
Representing. We're going to have a booth there with some of Kage's great art. We're excited. We're going to have a bunch of merch, some tees and some hoodies and some caps.
So Dev, if you know you guys are popping up there, just visit our booth, man. Just check out our stuff there. You know, come meet us there, man.
Yeah, and we're hoping to do some live shows there. KG, if you manage to get there, we're still waiting for your visa, but if that comes through,
I'm crossing my toes, man.
Then we're going to get we're going to be doing some interviews. We're certainly going to be talking to a lot of the entrepreneurs there, guys from BSV companies that maybe a lot of you have already interacted with, maybe Handcash or Rock Wallet, Haste. You know, there's a ton of BSV companies. And we're going to try and get to talk to all of them and just try and get some insight and see where they are and how their businesses are doing, and just to get a feel of the BSV ecosystem as a whole. It's really great to be able to meet together with like-minded people who are not interested in shilling cryptos and moonbeams and laser eyes and Lambos and things, but straight up utility.
Straight up. So yeah, Mr. What I admire the most about this event is the fact that there's no any other event like this. You know, I mean, we're talking like the future of all industries here. So it's quite an important event for the BSV community.
Yeah, I like the way you said that, all industries. In the same way that the internet affected all industries and made a world that we could barely imagine. Just one internet protocol. I mean, that's all it is. It's just a protocol for moving information. Look at the world we live in today. I mean, we're getting to stream this to millions of people.
That's the crazy part, because, you know, to your point, the internet has made the world like super small, you know. The fact that, you know, people are streaming, you know, videos, it just shows you like how important stable protocol is important, like for people to build upon, because it literally connects the world.
Exactly, a stable protocol. I mean, what a point to make. The only reason the internet succeeded was because it was stable. A stable protocol means something that is a foundation. And a foundation needs to be fixed.
Solid.
And without that fixed foundation, and without an idea that your foundation that you're building on can be fixed, then who's going to have confidence in building on that foundation? If your foundations are made of sand and there's bad weather that comes in, your house is going to fall.
It definitely is not going to withstand the force, you know, because like for anything to grow, it must be, you know, built on a solid ground so that, you know, anyone coming sort of like to build upon it, like the internet, for example, they are confident that it's not just a platform where, you know, rules will just all of a sudden change, you know, your business will be redundant at that point, but it's more, you know, relying on a stable foundation and having to allow everyone to build upon it, following the rules.
Totes.
Yeah, Ms. G, as we're stepping into our first segment, man, I'm happy to actually be chatting about this. You know, one of the coolest features that we've presented a long time ago, and now it's finally like coming out like full circle, you know, and that's ChatPay specifically. For us, it was more highlighting the social elements of Centbee as a wallet, you know, just trying to connect people. Tell us more about that, because that sounds super cool, man.
Yeah, that's something that Centbee centers around, is this idea of social payments.
Yeah.
We want to connect people because we believe payments always involves some social element and it involves a conversation.
Definitely.
And so Centbee has ChatPay, which is basically a chat client, just like WhatsApp or WeChat or anything like that. And with it, you can send money easily in the chat.
Yeah.
That's something that really was the foundation for Centbee. That's why Centbee has a chat bubble as a logo.
Yeah.
And so we want to just really flesh out ChatPay to become a chat client that works as great as those chat clients that you use, maybe Telegram or Signal. And we want to embed Bitcoin payments into those chats.
Yeah.
And so we're going to be spending a lot of effort making sure that ChatPay works as great as any of your other chat clients. And we hope to capture you and bring you over from whatever other chats that you're using. But one of the things that was missing was the ability to have a group chat.
Yeah.
And of course, in a group, sometimes you want to send money to that group. Either you want to split a payment or you want to send everybody the same amount of money for whatever reason.
It's quite crazy with that sort of like split payment, because I can't think of any other blockchain that could facilitate that better than the BSV blockchain. Literally, you can send fractions of cash.
Yes, exactly. Because of the low cost nature of BSV blockchain, which is a blockchain that doesn't have a restriction on blocks, although of course at the moment it's still going through that process of developing an unbounded system where there's no such thing as a capped block size.
Yeah.
It means that transactions are extremely cheap. And so I don't have to send you $50.
Yeah.
I can send you 1 cent.
Imagine.
I can split it amongst a bunch of people. So it's really beautiful when it comes to being able to make low-cost payments. And that was really what the whole point of Bitcoin was, remember?
Geez, Ms. G, that's crazy, because what I'm thinking is, as we constantly like speak about micropayments, nano payments, I can easily just send just one transaction and that splits.
Yes, that's what the nature of Bitcoin is, that you can make multiple payments, at least you can pay multiple recipients in a single transaction.
That's awesome.
That's a wonderful thing about Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So with one transaction at very low cost, you can pay as many people as you like. So this is a feature that's been a long time coming, and we've been promising it on the show.
Yeah.
And we're very pleased to announce that it's now almost here, almost ready. We're thinking of releasing it over the London Blockchain Conference.
That would be cool.
Making an announcement then. But viewers of the show are going to get an early insight into its release. So just listen out for that. Then that will allow you to have a group with your friends, your Centbee contacts, and then you can send them money. You can either, as I said, split it.
Yeah.
Where what will happen is if you want to send $1 to everybody in the group, you can split that, and it'll break that down into let's say it's 3 people in the group, can split that into 3.
Yeah.
Or you can just send $1 each.
Yeah.
So it's a very easy way of being able to create split payments, splitting bills, or whatever you want to do.
That's super cool, man, because I've seen also in other like famous chat applications like WhatsApp, for instance, you know, and what's cool about the BSV blockchain is the immutability of transactions and stuff like that, and the fact that people can get caught if they're pushing shady stuff.
That's right. So until WhatsApp figures out that BSV blockchain is the best way and the only way to make reliable digital cash payments, then we've got an advantage, and we're going to beat them to it.
Straight up.
Yeah.
So yeah, guys, just remember to check out the Centbee app on the stores. Yeah, could be the very first to experience the new feature coming out on ChatPay, splitting of payments and group chats. So yeah, just remember to download the app, comment, subscribe. You know the drill by now. Mobile money on fire.
Thank you very much. We can't do this without our cactus. Taking a little bit of strain. Who's watering this thing? Cactus is back.
Mr. G, making this guy. Anyway, short guys. As we're stepping into our second segment, Mr. G, we've mentioned all the attributes that the BSV blockchain has. You know, it's scalable. The blocks are larger than BTC, and
by a lot.
Yeah, like the contrast is clear basically between BSV and BTC. But I want to understand, like, what is the BTC crowd trying to do with the high fees that are there? I mean, there's high costs in terms of transactions there. So what solution do they have up their sleeve?
And they're so dogmatically fixed to this idea of having a 1 megabyte block because they are trying to go for that radical decentralization. Where the reason for decentralization for them is to be uncontrollable and unstoppable and uncensorable. All these words that they throw out there. And that was not the reason for decentralization. But they think that if blocks get bigger, it means you're not going to be able to have their Raspberry Pis and their laptops running a non-mining node so that they can verify and not trust. That's one of their slogans.
Verify and not trust.
So they've got this idea of 1 megabyte. In fact, some BTC proponents are saying that it should be smaller, which is crazy.
Imagine.
But with 1 megabyte blocks, it's just going to be impossible for even 1% of 1% of the world to be able to use BTC because fees, I mean, if you just look at them now at, let's say, $5 a transaction, who's going to use that?
Yeah, that's expensive.
Now they say, well, look, it's fine because BTC isn't meant to be used, remember? It's gold. You buy it, you put it in your safe.
Digital
and then
gold.
50 years later, you retire.
Like we always say, fool's gold.
Fool's gold.
Yeah.
And so they say, that's fine. The fees are high because you're not meant to be using it, right? I mean, what kind of system is that? It's too expensive to use, so don't use it. So they've got a problem. And more than that, it's not that fine you buy it and then you sit and hold it. But if you try to do that, if enough people in the world, and if they want this to be adopted globally, and that word I use, adopted, is the way they use it, which is just to hodl it, not to use it.
Yeah, and we have clarified what adoption is.
Yes, adoption is use, not
usage,
hodling.
Yeah.
Then even if a bunch of people try to buy some Bitcoin and then have a transaction that gets created so they can receive that Bitcoin, the fees are going to be so high that it's going to be impossible to even receive Bitcoin. And so the natural state, and this is how most people use BTC today, is they go onto an exchange and they buy BTC or whatever crypto it is that they want to play with, and it sits in the exchange trading account. Now, there's been no BTC transaction. If you buy BTC on Coinbase or Kraken or anything like that, you don't actually receive the BTC. It's sitting in the exchange trading account, and they haven't created a BTC transaction. But you're going to know about it when you try and withdraw that BTC, because suddenly you're going to get slapped with a $5 fee or $10 fee.
Yeah.
And if more and more people start using BTC, guess what? It's going to go to $100, $1,000. Now, the crazy thing is that for BTC, they say this is okay, because ultimately BTC is too important and it must remain decentralized, so it must remain small.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if those fees are so high, because ultimately what people are going to be doing with it is just, as I said, hodling it. Another famous phrase is not your keys, not your coins.
Yeah.
So how is it if they want BTC to be used and adopted by people, how are people going to be able to afford to pay the fees to be able to receive those coins?
Imagine.
So what they've tried to do is they've tried to propose a solution, which they've been working on now, and I was shocked to find out, for more than 10 years. Can't believe it's been that long. A new network proposal that they have called the Lightning Network. And the Lightning Network is what they call a layer 2 technology. Okay. So if we have BTC as the layer 1 technology, what they envision is the ability to move Bitcoins, so to speak, to another network called the Lightning Network. And the Lightning Network is where people will be able to transact very cheaply and very quickly. And then only when they want to settle those funds, those transactions, that's when they'll create a transaction to settle back into the BTC blockchain.
But that doesn't sound like an escape from the fees either way.
Well, first of all, of course, you have to create a transaction. I mean, what we can do is we can get into how the Lightning Network is, how it's set up and how it works.
Yeah.
But to briefly describe this in a non-technical way, of course, we always try and explain things in a non-technical way.
Yeah.
So just to basically explain how Lightning works, there's a concept in Bitcoin, which is of course also in BTC, called a payment channel. And a payment channel is a mechanism for me to open up a channel between the two of us. And we can now say we've got a connection between ourselves.
Yeah.
And then what we can do is we can then send IOUs backwards and forwards over that channel for free, as much as we like.
Okay.
So let's say I want to send you $1, and then you want to send me 50, and then I want to send you 10, and then you send me 100. Then what happens is at the end of the day, we figure out what the balance is.
Yeah.
And we say, all right, it turns out that now you ultimately owe me $20. So what we'll do is we'll create a transaction on the BTC network, which will settle that amount as BTC into our wallets. So that's a very important feature inside Bitcoin, this ability to create payment channels.
Okay.
Now, what Lightning Network has done is it said, all right, let's take these payment channels and let's make a network where everybody on the network sets up a payment channel. So if I want to make a payment to you, we can set up a payment channel.
Yeah.
If you want to make a payment to Aaron, then you guys set up a payment channel. Now, if I want to be able to pay Aaron, I don't have a payment channel between us. So what I will do, and this is what the Lightning Network is trying to achieve, is I will send, if I want to send him $20, I will send you the $20, okay? And then you will send Aaron your $20.
So essentially, I'm also digging in my wallet in order to send the money that you sent me.
That's right.
So that means the money is not yet in my wallet.
Well, what happens is when I create that payment channel, I have to fund that payment channel.
Okay.
So I now put the $20 into that payment channel.
Yeah.
So now between us, the capacity that I have is I have the ability to send you 20, just say bucks, okay, in BTC amounts.
Yeah.
All right. And so if you have a payment channel with Aaron, you have to now fund a channel with Aaron also with $20. Okay. So that's your own money.
Yeah.
You haven't received any money from me yet.
Yeah.
If I want to route money through you to Aaron using Lightning, I will send you the 20 that is in the channel between us, and you will send him the 20 that is in the channel between the two of you.
Two of us, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now,
it's complex. Yeah.
Well, the problem becomes is what if you don't have a payment channel between Aaron for $20? What if you've got 10? Yeah. I can't now route that 20 through you to Aaron because you've only got 10 in your channel. Now, the Lightning Network is this very long paper that is trying to achieve this problem of how to be able to create a reliable system to be able to reliably route payments through this network. Yeah. Although ironically in the 50+ pages of the white paper, the routing problem is only dealt with in a paragraph and it just says it's theoretically possible.
Yeah.
But this is the issue now, is it going to be possible for Lightning to succeed? And as I said, it's been 10 years now.
I was about to say, clearly it's a struggle.
It's a very difficult problem.
So, Mr. G, understanding this, you're saying in order like for two people to send each other a BTC, they have to be creating that channel between each other.
If it's between me and you, there's a channel.
So yeah, Mr. G, you made an example of creating that payment channel, you know. So what happens, like you said, maybe if I don't have the cash in my account, then what happens? There's no way we can pay each other?
Yeah, so if I'm trying to route a payment through to Aaron and you don't have enough liquidity in your channel between yourself and Aaron, how am I supposed to pay him?
Yeah.
So now what they're trying to do with that problem is they're saying, all right, what we'll do is we'll have hubs.
Yeah.
And a hub is basically a liquidity provider, a large entity that has a lot of BTC and it has a lot of channels opened to a lot of different people and a lot of different service providers.
That already sounds like a bank, Mos.
This is the solution that they are proposing, is creating a hub network. So in the event of me trying to pay somebody where there's no direct channel and there's not enough liquidity, what I can do is I can then go through a hub, a Lightning hub, which is like a bank, and I can now route payments through them. Now, of course, there's a whole lot of problems with that, because what happens if that hub goes down? Then you can imagine a significant portion of that network, it just goes down.
Jeez, Mr. G. Because what you're saying is that in this case, it can be disrupted in a sense. So this means systematically, the whole hub idea is centralization.
Yes, this is what they're trying to do now. They're trying to create a central system where people can reliably route payments through to each other. And as I said, the hub could go down, and that's a very important thing about Lightning, is that everybody has to be online all the time. You know, if I send you a BSV transaction, you just give me your address or your pay mail, and I can just send it to you. It doesn't matter whether you're online or not. And with Lightning, that's not how it works.
That's problematic already, because we do know that, you know, as much as half of the world is connected, you know, there's still issues with connection.
Yes, of course. And going down also means that, like I said, if we're sending payments backwards and forwards over the payment channel, we have to record that state. We have to remember, how much have you sent me? How much have I sent you?
Jeez.
And if that information is lost for whatever reason, if you don't back that information up and you go down, then what could happen is what's called stale state. In other words, information that is old would be what the information is that gets settled. So there's so many problems with Lightning, one of them being online, but of course this whole idea of having a central hub means now that they're moving entirely away from this idea of decentralized system into a centralized system with hubs that facilitate payments and route payments. And of course, we all know that if you are performing that sort of function in financial services, you're acting as a money transmitter.
Straight up,
And there are all sorts of requirements for you. You have to do all sorts of KYC and comply with all sorts of regulations.
Definitely.
You have to be licensed. And so all that Lightning Network has done is create a centralized system that is not robust, something that requires you to be online all the time. And of course, it doesn't facilitate payments in that decentralized kind of way.
You spoke about having to make a BTC transaction at settlement.
Yes.
Well, I thought you've already made a transaction on the Lightning Network. Why do we have to make another transaction on the BTC network?
Yes, because when you are transacting on the Lightning Network, you're not actually creating Bitcoin transactions. You are transacting outside of Bitcoin.
This is getting more complicated, sorry, Mr. G.
Yes, and you're right. To fund a channel, if I want to create a payment channel, I have to create a Bitcoin transaction to fund that channel. And once these IOUs have all been exchanged and there's a balance that's been worked out, then another BTC transaction has to be created to settle that channel.
So if you're saying another, that means that two transactions that are created, and that means I'm being charged twice.
That's right, exactly. So the idea is that, and of course, if people start using Lightning Network, the BTC community are quite happy for, is where the fees on BTC become so high that people don't ever want to transact on BTC. The solution to BTC scaling problem is just to not use BTC. But yes, you've got to create two transactions. And if you're paying several dollars for that, you're going to want to make sure that you don't want to pay a percentage on those transactions. So this is a major problem. You still need to create BTC transactions to be able to use Lightning Network. You cannot get paid if you're not online. And also, even in the Lightning white paper, they say that Bitcoin BTC is going to need at least 133 megabyte blocks to be able to be cheap enough to be able to create these Lightning transactions, because
that's hilarious, man.
Even if half the world wants to now create one BTC transaction to fund a payment channel, and then they just route IOUs through hubs that could potentially go down, even then the fees are going to be too high for most people. So even Lightning suggests that BTC's 1 megabyte block is too small.
So yeah, Ms. G, I mean, you mentioned that this has been like 10 years already trying to solve this Lightning issue. What is so difficult for them to solve?
Yeah, exactly. It's now taken more than 10 years, and if you go back over their history, the developers of Lightning always were promising it in about 18 months. So now 10 years later, where have they got? to, and we see how Lightning hasn't been able to solve this routing problem. How do they effectively and efficiently route payments through the network? Because if you think about how routing works, if I want to make a payment to somebody, I have to now map a route through the network, the Lightning network, finding nodes or people that have sufficient liquidity in each of their channels. I have to map a path through that network and find a way to get to my destination. Now the thing is this, is once I start on that path, it's easy for the path to suddenly change because maybe the BTC in one of those channels that I was hoping to route through, it gets spent. Maybe that user decides to spend that BTC and now it's no longer available. So actually what Lightning have is something greater than just a small technical problem. There's a famous class of problems in mathematics and computer science, and we won't get into depth about this. In fact, what I'll do is I'll leave a link to a great video about this problem called the P versus NP problem. And there are a whole class of problems in mathematics, and there's prizes if you can solve them. P versus NP, simply put, basically says that for all types of problems that can be solved with a computer, you get the class of problems which are of class type P. Okay, and it means polynomial, but P. And those P problems are problems that can easily be solved with an algorithm. And there are problems like multiplication and things like that computers are really good at doing, sorting lists of numbers or something. But there's also a class of problems that become exponentially more difficult the more what are called inputs that you put into that problem. So what's an example? Well, I mean, there are famous algorithms and problems that people have been trying to solve for a long time, like how do proteins fold, or even Sudoku, or chess, or Tetris, or Candy Crush. It's very difficult to create algorithms for these types of problems because the more inputs that you put into it, the time it takes becomes exponentially more until you get a class of problems that will take millions of years or billions of years or trillions of years to solve because of the nature of the complexity. That's exactly what it is. It's complexity theory. So basically now what Lightning have is on their hands is an NP problem, a traveling salesman problem, where they are trying to effectively route a path through a network that is constantly changing. So this whole class of NP problems, like chess or all these others, and Lightning's particular problem, which is a type of traveling salesman problem, it becomes exponentially more difficult the more inputs you have in that network. If you're now trying to route through different nodes and those nodes are constantly changing, it could be that also that you might be sitting with a channel that you funded. Meanwhile, somebody else goes and uses your BTC to route payments through, and now you're sitting with an unfunded channel. So this is the type of problem that Lightning has, and a problem that to date has been unsolvable. And interestingly enough, is that if you find an algorithm to be able to solve an NP complete problem, then that same strategy, that same methodology can be used to solve other problems in that category. And so there are problems like protein folding and chess and things like that, Candy Crush, as we mentioned. So if you were to able to solve the Lightning problem of routing through this network, you would also at the same time solve the problem of all these other types. You'll be able to find a cure for cancer.
That's like the key to everything.
It's the key to everything. More than that, you'd be able to break encryption, bank encryption. You'd be able to break BTC's encryption. So the problem that they have isn't just a minor technical issue. They are trying to solve a mathematical and computer science problem that to date has $1 million prize on anyone who can now come up with a way of figuring this out. And they now have to try and get around that to be able to solve this NP hard problem. And if they do that, it's going to be great, because then suddenly there's going to be cures for cancer and all these wonderful things.
Yeah.
But at the same time, BTC is going to break, and so is all your bank encryption. So it just seems that this is a problem that is unsolvable.
It's a losing battle.
A losing battle.
Yeah.
Why not just use Bitcoin the way it was intended? Why not just have a scalable blockchain with no caps on the blocks?
Yeah.
And BSV is demonstrating that it's possible to do this. Satoshi knew what he was talking about.
Without having to apply unnecessary layers and stuff.
And solve problems that are to date unsolvable, that will transform the world into something we can't hardly imagine. So this is the problem that BTC have. They're pinning all their hopes on the Lightning Network. It's taken more than a decade to get to this point, and there's no end in sight. And I think BTC's scaling woes are just never going to go away.
Geez, that sucks, man. Like we always say, man, just check out the Centbee app and experience the power of BSV, guys. If you don't have the Centbee wallet by now, you suck. Sorry to say that, but you suck. Yeah. So yeah, just check it out on the stores. Remember to comment, subscribe, show some love, yeah? You know the drill by now. Mobile money on fire. Cool. So yeah, Ms. G, we're stepping into this week's user questions and feedback from our socials. Our first one comes from Joel Nagy, 8291. I think it's by default, actually, YouTube. Like, it sort of like gives you numbers by your username at the end. But anyway, yeah, like I say, people have funny names, yeah. But yeah, Joel is saying, very good stuff. I share your content with BTC folks all the time. Oh, that's awesome.
Cool. I don't know how receptive BTC proponents will be. Of course, we talk about a scalable, regulatory compliant blockchain.
Yeah.
And BTC are all about decentralization to the max.
Yeah.
So it's cool that you're sharing this with people who are in BTC. We appreciate that. We try and keep this non-technical. This show is aimed at people who are not technical but just want to get an idea of what's going on in this whole crypto space. And so we want to bring ideas to you and really expose the flaws in the crypto mindset, because we can save you a lot of time and a lot of pain, a lot of struggle. So thanks for sharing. And if you really believe in what we're doing, just like and subscribe, and keep supporting us and leave us feedback. It really helps the show. Thank you.
Cool. Thanks, Joe. Our second one comes from Thomas James, and they say, hello. When will Centbee be usable in the Philippines? I really would like to know.
Yeah, so we already do have the ability to shop in the Philippines. So if you have BSV,
there's quite a lot of options, actually.
There's a lot of options.
Yeah.
We're doing an upgrade, and there'll be more options coming for the Philippines. So just listen out for that. At the moment, there's no way to top up your BSV in your Centbee wallet in the Philippines. But again, this is something that we're very excited about, especially the Philippines. And we have a lot of users in the Philippines, in fact, and there's a massive BSV community down there in the Philippines.
Yeah.
I think CoinGeek is doing a lot of great work in the Bitcoin Association down there in the Philippines.
Yeah.
So we love to hear from our Filipinos users. Thanks for leaving a comment, but we certainly are going to be working to bring you all the features you like in Centbee.
Cool. Sure. Thanks, Thomas. Our third one comes from Venomigo. Venom is saying, thank you guys for answering my question in the earlier video. Thank you for all your work. My next question would be, how do we use Bitcoin SV during a time when there is no internet? Can we do offline cash transactions with one another without the internet?
Yes, that is one of the most important features that the Satoshi Nakamoto even described. I forget which section, maybe section 5 or 6 in the Bitcoin white paper. Mm-hmm. It's called simple payment verification.
SPV, yeah.
SPV. Yeah. And SPV allows you to be able to make payments in an offline way. And so it's a wonderful part of Bitcoin, and really is another part of the decentralization that we talk about, where you don't have to be connected to any network to be able to accept and make payments. SPV, check it out in the white paper. And of course, with IPv6, it's going to make it a lot easier for people to be able to make secure connections between each other to be able to exchange transactions in a reliable way. So that's definitely something that Satoshi thought about. It's called simple payment verification. Check it out.
Cool. Sure. Thanks, Venom. Our fourth one comes from Joel, actually. Joel has been busy. He's saying, not sure if you have addressed this before, but I'd like to know what you think the benefits would be to spending cryptocurrency at this point, as you still have to exchange for it for fiat to spend it. Would it not be best to just hold at this point until full adoption? I just don't see the upside of using fiat to buy BSV, just so it can be converted back into fiat to spend. I hope you understand what I'm trying to convey.
Yes, and I think this is something that what Centbee is trying to tackle, because it's not always easy to be able to buy the things that you want with your local currency. If you've got fiat cash in your wallet, how are you going to make a digital payment? So this is the whole point of Centbee, is that it now gives you a way to make digital payments for things like mobile recharge data, for Uber and for shopping online, without needing a bank or a credit card. So this is an alternative to those traditional banking payment apps. If you don't have a PayPal app or you don't have something like that, Centbee is a wonderful alternative. First of all, it works globally, and you can send money around the world at very low cost, but also it's got a whole lot of options for you to be able to spend your BSV.
Yes.
So if you already have a bank card and you are able to buy all the things that you want, well, sure, maybe BSV isn't the best thing for you at the moment, unless you're a real enthusiast and you want to support the network and you want to get involved. But there's a whole lot of people out there in the world who don't have access to those traditional payment systems.
Yeah.
And so Centbee is a wonderful alternative for that.
And besides, Mr. G, even if you do have a bank account or access to all of these, I don't think there's a cheaper way of having to spend like Centbee.
That's right.
Thanks for that, Joe. I hope your concern has been answered there. Ms. G, that was our last feedback from our users and question. So I think we've come to the end of our show.
Cool stuff. Thanks, Kage. Thanks for the show. It was great to be able to talk about Lightning Network, this boondoggle that BTC have been pinning their hopes on for more than a decade.
Yeah.
It just goes to show that nobody can beat Satoshi's vision.
Yeah.
A system that was low cost and scalable, that was regulatory compliant, that didn't rely on technology that is impossible to solve, that makes everything more expensive and centralizes everything in the wrong sorts of ways.
Yeah.
BTC has gone off the deep end, gone into the deep end, drowning, flailing, struggling for survival.
It's quite sad.
And it's very sad because, of course, people still think that's Bitcoin.
Yeah.
But we know what's the real Bitcoin. And if you're watching the show, you know what's the real Bitcoin.
Straight up.
Bitcoin is Satoshi's Bitcoin. Satoshi Nakamoto, he explained Bitcoin. He said it's meant to be digital cash. It's not meant to be digital gold.
Yeah.
And really, if you just cast a critical eye across the whole crypto spectrum, you're going to realize it's just a giant scam that's just sucking you in for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
Whereas Bitcoin has a real Bitcoin, BSV, is just a new world with new possibilities and new things that can be done, something that can transform the world for the better. And the sooner you learn this and the sooner you spread this message, then we can move into this great world that Satoshi has prepared for us, which is a world of low-cost digital cash payments on a global scale, something that can eliminate fraud and just make the world a better place.
Straight up.
So share these videos with your friends if you want to educate them, and we appreciate you coming and watching us, and please come back soon. Sweets.